Hello and welcome back. My name is Jack B. And as always, thank you for viewing my video. The topic of the Mandela Effect is rising again. People are looking for all sorts of mystical reasons and causes for its occurrence rather than thinking they, themselves, might be fallible. False memories occur for multiple reasons. They may start with misread, misheard, or optical misinputs. Then there is the volume of data processed by the brain and the manner in which the brain operates to process data. And finally, there are external influences that alter memory. The Mandela Effect is a psychological phenomenon where a large group of people collectively share the same false memory of a past event, historical fact, or pop culture detail. It gets its name from the widespread incorrect belief that South African leader Nelson Mandela died in prison during the 1980s. Some examples are the Berenstain Bears versus the Berenstain Bears, the Monopoly Man without a monocle, Fruit Loops versus Fruit Loops, and Oscar Mayer versus Oscar Mayer. There are also very familiar quotes from movies people misquote. Darth Vader is continuously misquoted as saying, "Luke, I am your father," but the actual line is, "No, I am your father." And in the movie Forrest Gump, Gump is misquoted as saying, "Life is like a box of chocolates," when in fact he said, "Life was like a box of chocolates." These misquotes indicate what can happen when only a part of a statement or sentence is quoted and the full context is not provided. When Gump was on the park bench, he said, "Mama always said, life was like a box of chocolates." This sentence sounds more natural to the ear in its complete form and context. As a note, in another part of the movie, Gump's mother did say, "Life is like a box of chocolates." People are not always 100% attentive. They move, blink, cough, sneeze, or may be preoccupied with others near them. These distractions cause an individual to miss certain bits of information, and the human mind fills in the blanks with words it thinks sounds right. Our brain is constantly at work. It never rests. With all our senses simultaneously at work, approximately 1 billion bits per second of information is sent to our subconscious. But our conscious mind can only handle a tiny, filtered trickle of 10 bits per second. A landmark study led by Jie Zheng and Marcus Meister quantified the speed of human thought. Their research, published in Neuron, details how the brain acts as an extreme data compressor, tossing out most sensory inputs so the conscious mind isn't overwhelmed. Read more about their findings in the Caltech magazine. For further information on this topic, you can also explore the research performed at Caltech. Needless to say that when one's attention is diverted, information can and will be missed. The predictive processing framework of our brain makes our brain an active prediction machine. It continuously generates internal models and expectations about the world, testing them against incoming sensory data and only processing unexpected inputs or discrepancies to the conscious mind. Neuroscientists at University College London discovered that the brain distinguishes imagination from reality by monitoring a specific visual processing hub in the brain. The reality input is used to validate the subconscious brain's prediction. If the sensory activity crosses a certain threshold, the brain's decision-making center, the anterior insula, classifies the experience as objective reality. What we see, hear, and feel is essentially our brain's internal prediction that has been validated with our sensory information. When the prediction is aligned with sensory input, then we accept it as reality and it is sent to the conscious part of the brain. Most people have had the experience of finding out the words they thought were in a song were not actually words in the song. Hearing different or misunderstood words in songs is commonly known as a mondegreen. This happens when listeners don't hear lyrics clearly, and their subconscious substitutes similar sounding words that make sense to them. In a 1954 Harper's Magazine essay, writer Sylvia Wright coined the phrase after relating a childhood memory of mishearing a line from a 17th century Scottish ballad, The Bonnie Earl o' Moray. The actual lyric was, "They have slain the Earl o' Moray and laid him on the green." But what Wright thought she heard was, "They have slain the Earl o' Moray and Lady Mondegreen." Mondegreens occur because of how our brains process language. When the audio isn't perfectly clear, or we expect to hear a familiar word, our brains automatically fill in the gaps to make sense of what we are hearing. Vision can also trigger auditory misperceptions. When you see someone mouthing a syllable that conflicts with the audio playing, your brain integrates the two into a completely new, incorrect sound. This phenomenon is known as the McGurk effect. The McGurk effect demonstrates that your eyes dominate how your brain processes spoken language. In this way, vision acts very similarly to a mondegreen. While auditory mondegreens are usually caused by a singer's accent, a person's being distracted, or poor audio quality, visual mondegreens, or the McGurk effect, are caused by a mismatch between what you hear and what you see. The brain frequently misreads or anticipates wrong spellings, often without your conscious awareness. Because reading is highly predictive, your mind relies on context, past experience, and overall word shapes rather than processing every individual letter in order. This phenomenon occurs due to three main cognitive mechanisms. 1. Predictive coding. Based on the sentence's context, the subconscious anticipates which words are coming next. If it expects the word apple, it will often read a misspelled version, such as appel, exactly as apple. 2. The word superiority effect. In cognitive psychology, this is a phenomenon where letters are identified within the context of a familiar word much faster and more accurately than if you see those same letters in isolation or in a nonsense string. The whole word provides context for the letters. 3. Holistic recognition. Your brain recognizes familiar words as whole visual pictures. If the first and last letters are correct and the length matches a known word in your mental dictionary, your internal spell checker automatically corrects it for you. This system is highly efficient, allowing you to read quickly, but it is exactly why embarrassing typos often slip right past proofreaders. Many fringe conspiracy and sci-fi theorists speculate that these shared false memories are proof of multiverses, alternate timelines, and realities slipping into our own. There are also other theories, such as we are players online in a VR game. Some people also speculate that the CERN super collider caused wrinkles in time or created micro black holes. Slipping further down the rabbit hole, there are those who believe these events are alien and government mind control experiments, or government voice-to-skull, often abbreviated as V2K technologies, that transmit sound directly into a person's head, bypassing the ears. There are even those who believe these occurrences are spiritual and occult related. But the official consensus in the scientific and psychological community is that it is simply a reflection of how our brains process and reconstruct memories. In addition, using external causes to explain the Mandela Effect stems from the psychological discomfort of realizing our memories are fallible. Blaming parallel universes, mind control mystical causes, or glitches allows people to preserve confidence in their own minds, transforming unsettling memory errors into exciting, shared mysteries. Humans are biologically and psychologically hardwired to tell stories. Narrative is our primary way to make sense of the world, transfer knowledge, and bond with one another. Neuroscience shows that hearing stories synchronizes brain activity between the speaker and listener, releasing empathy-inducing chemicals like oxytocin. The more mystical or far-fetched the story, the more people like it. Psychologists and cognitive scientists also explain these shared memory errors through several internal cognitive processes. 1. Confabulation. The brain naturally fills gaps in our memory with fabricated or expected information to make sense. The brain is not a perfect recording device. It reconstructs past events every time we recall them, sometimes fabricating plausible information to fill in missing pieces. 2. Schema theory. Our brains naturally fill in gaps with details that might be true based on expectations. 3. Suggestibility, social reinforcement, and misinformation. Hearing others confidently recall an incorrect detail can plant or alter memories in our own minds. External suggestions, media influence, and other people's recollections can easily alter our own memories, and pop culture frequently misquotes famous lines. 4. Social reinforcement and the Internet effect. The Internet acts as an echo chamber that supercharges these shared false memories. When someone expresses an incorrect memory online, others who have experienced the same memory distortion chime in. This collective agreement makes the false memory feel incredibly real and valid, even though it contradicts historical facts. Because false memories feel remarkably vivid and real, people search for external explanations to make sense of the discrepancy between their memories and recorded reality. In summary, having some basic understanding of how our brains take in sensory data, process that data, and how memory is affected by external influences helps people understand the reality of our surroundings. Humans are good, but they are not perfect. We are fallible. And finally, beware, there are those nefarious people who will take advantage of people's beliefs to further their own ends and fill their own pockets at the expense of others. By the way, the information presented above should be taken into account when one listens to eyewitnesses. Well, these are my thoughts for today. And again, whether you agree or disagree, please verify the information presented. Thank you. And until next time, take care and be safe.
No, Kevin. Me na do it.
Ooh.